Legends, in this episode of Rucking Good, I catch up with Veronika Larisova. V is a holistic exercise physiologist and a nutritionist, and she also co-founded the brand Chief Nutrition. In this episode, we do a bit of a deep dive into her journey as a librarian in the Czech Republic, to heading to Australia to chase her passion for sport, fitness and health. Great chat on a beautiful location being Sydney Harbour. Hope you enjoy. I guess to start, if you want to have a chat about coming over, like your childhood growing up, whether you were, because I'm interested in whether you were sporty, like what made you come over to study sport and
just
why
ask me all the
Australia
questions as you had them in the paper and I answered them, because otherwise I go on tangents. So just
that's all right though. Tangents are good sometimes. Not good sometimes, good sometimes.
Yeah.
So when you came over from the Czech Republic?
Yeah.
Yes. You come over to study?
Yes, I came over to study sport and exercise science at uni in Queensland.
Excellent. And how come Australia?
Well, it's a long story. So I studied first in Czech Republic. I'm actually qualified librarian.
Wow.
I did 3 years bachelor's degree at the Faculty of Philosophy and then realized that I can't do much with it. So I majored in librarianship and I became qualified librarian. And then I was 21. And I really wanted to travel around the world, but it was very expensive back then, and Czech Republic was just not long after communism. Wasn't really easy.
Yep.
So I went to work on cruise ships in the United States and traveled around Caribbean, Central America, South America, Alaska, just everywhere I wanted to go. But then after 2 years, I was kind of over it, and I was like, okay, I really want to study, and I want to study something to do with sports. And I really wanted to study in English language because English was becoming the universal language in European Union. And I was thinking, if I study in Czech again, I will not be able to communicate the profession in English. I will not know the terminology. So I just wanted to study in English. So I was thinking, where do I study? How do I do it? And I worked with some Aussies on the cruise ships, and they're like, oh, you should go to Australia. It ticks all the boxes. You've never been there. Australia has got amazing sports. We always win all the medals at the Olympics. There's the Australian Institute of Sport is amazing. You have to go to Australia. So I actually didn't research anything other than I wanted to go somewhere where there is no winter and they have a good uni. So I decided for Brisbane. I didn't organize anything. I went to Brisbane without thinking about anything, just took all my documents for the uni application. And then I asked around which uni is the best to study sport and exercise science, and someone said QUT, so I just physically walked into QUT and applied. They took me in because I had all the prerequisites from my high school and uni and everything, but then I didn't realize that I can't change from tourist visa to student visa when I'm in Australia. They said I have to go back to Czech Republic to change my visa. It was big drama. In the end, I ended up going to New Zealand for 6 months, waited for my student visa, and then I came back to Australia and commenced studying sport and exercise science at QUT in Brisbane. Yeah.
Wow. And so how do you go from studying to be a librarian to studying to be a exercise physiologist?
Well, I grew up, my dad was a professional athlete and I pretty much grew up at the gym. He used to take me with him everywhere. I would sit at the gym at 2 years old watching him doing deadlifts and stuff.
Oh, so he was a weightlifter?
He was a boxer, and then when he got married, he started doing bodybuilding. So I spent a lot of time at the gym, and back then it was deep in the communism. We weren't allowed a lot of things, and even clothes, you couldn't get any sparkly clothes and stuff. Everything was gray and brown and it was all the same. And my dad would bring from Germany literally smuggled magazines how he would smuggle magazines, like bodybuilding magazines from Germany, and I saw all the bodybuilding girls in all those sparkly bikinis.
Yes, yeah.
And it was like princesses to me, like it is all this, like you could never get it. And it was like, no one looked like that in the Czech Republic back then. That was like my dream, like, like one day I wanna be like that, and I like all the sparkles, whatever. Anyway, so I was always like kind of thinking about it. That was bodybuilder. I used to grow up doing lots of activities. And I also used to dance on a very high level. I used to compete in a dance sport, in Latin ballroom dancing. And I was like a member of the best dance school in the Czech Republic.
Ah.
So I was
it's always been,
yeah,
you've
so
always been sporty.
And so when I was applying for to study at uni in Czech Republic, I actually applied to study psychology and also physiotherapy, and then that philosophy was my backup plan, and I didn't get into anything else.
Oh.
So I always wanted to study something, either like a sports psychology or physiotherapy or something, but in Czech Republic, it's a very different system, or it was back then. It was very difficult to get to do these degrees. You would get like thousands of applicants and they could only take 40. They had like people kept trying for like 3 or 4 years to get to those degrees. And I didn't have the patience. So I just went to do that philosophy thing, librarian, to have some kind of education, because my parents were like, oh, before you go traveling, just get some kind of, like, you know, uni education. So I'm like, okay, suck it up, do this, whatever. Then went traveling and then came back and studied sport and exercise science, which is what I really wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so in the cruise ship, what did you do anything specific, or were you just
no,
like
I worked
a general
as a waitress.
hand? Oh, okay.
That was the best money, and like it was easy and it was so much fun. And yeah, I traveled everywhere I wanted for free.
Oh yes.
I got paid for it actually. So it was exactly what I wanted, because back then in the Czech Republic, if you wanted to travel to the Caribbean, you would have to be like equivalent of Gina Reinhardt in Czech Republic. Like it was literally impossible. Like it was so expensive for us. It was like everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're going to the Caribbean! It's like amazing. It's like if someone is going to the moon." It was like, wow.
Nice.
So yeah, it was one of my dreams that was ticked off very early, and then everything else was after that, you know.
Yeah, right. And so you finally did your 6 months in New Zealand.
Yeah, and then came here.
And then jumped into full-time study?
Yeah, full-time study.
Yeah, right. Did you work while you were studying?
Yes, I did work. I did several different jobs. I worked as a personal trainer the whole uni, which was great because I could train clients like before the uni, after uni.
And it was in the realm of what you were studying for as well?
Yeah. So like I was sport and exercise science, it was all about training and stuff, and I did my personal training certificate. I did my personal training certificate the first year when I was at uni, and then I just did mobile personal training the whole way through the uni, and then I also worked at bars and nightclubs on the weekends to make extra money. So I was working a lot, working and studying. It was actually a very hard time in my life.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And did you have did you have any support network out here? You said you had some Aussies that you worked with.
Oh, they stayed on the cruise ships. I came here, I didn't know anyone, but I made friends very quickly. Yeah. I've been really lucky with people, especially in Australia. I always found people that were, supportive, happy to help me. Yeah, so I think I've been always lucky with people.
And with your studies, you ended up in exercise physiology.
Yeah.
Is that a route that you take at a certain point, or?
Yeah, so you do the sport and exercise science is 3 years bachelor degree, and then you have to do another year to become exercise physiologist, which now it's a master's degree. Before it wasn't called master's, but it was still like master's. It was another extra year.
Oh, okay. And I saw in your qualifications it says you're a holistic, integrative exercise physiologist.
Yeah.
So how does that differ from a standard exercise physiologist?
So standard exercise physiologist, not that there's anything wrong with it, but standard exercise physiologist they just focus on the exercise therapy. So let's say someone comes to traditional exercise physiologist and they have injury from running. The exercise physiologist assesses them, or they have assessment from a physiotherapist, and then they develop rehabilitation program to fix the issues. They might do the running assessment and things like that, but that's what it is. As a holistic exercise physiologist, I would look at also at their nutrition, mindset, lifestyle, just like everything together. I would look at why they got injured first place. Maybe their nutrition is not great, they could improve something to heal better. Maybe they're not sleeping well, or they have another,
So
lifestyle issue. So
you're kind of just not trying to fix the immediate issue. You're looking
at
the root cause almost.
Root cause, and just addressing all the aspects of their life and wellness, and also collaborate with other practitioners. So I regularly collaborate with sports doctors, functional integrative GP, physiotherapists, herbalists, massage therapists, and we all communicate about that one patient and come up with program for them all together, so that everything is addressed, because sometimes, let's say go back to the running injury. The person is injured, but they might be getting injured because they're not having enough protein in their diet, or maybe they're overtraining, and maybe they're overtraining because they have some kind of stress in their life or other issues.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're getting injured because they're not sleeping enough, or they have some gut health issues. So I look at everything. I also do genetics tests for my clients to see, what they're starting with, what their starting point is. So the programs that I develop for them are very highly individualized based on their genetics, lifestyle, mindset, their likes, dislikes, history of injuries, things like that. So it's a lot of different variables.
Yeah, right. And so with the genetic testing, is that something you get all your clients to do, or is it kind of a...
No, I don't think it's necessary for everyone unless they really want it.
Yeah.
Because, it's always cost involved.
Yes.
So unless they really want it, I wouldn't. But if they have been doing everything right, seemingly, and they're still not getting the results, or they're getting some kind of issues, then I will do the genetics test to see what's going on.
And what does a genetics test entail? Like, what data does it give you that's useful to diagnose them?
So the genetics tests that I do are all related to nutrition and exercise.
Yep.
And all those variables. So for example, you can find in the genetics test whether you are very prone to getting inflamed, and if you are, that's indicative of you can be very prone to getting tendon injuries and other things. So you can find in the genetics test whether you have the celiac gene, if you're genetically lactose intolerant, what's your tolerance to alcohol, tolerance to caffeine, if your body metabolizes fats well, if you have the obesity gene, things like that.
Yeah, right. And you can guide how they eat based on their genetics?
Yes, you can. And also with the genetics, so I just wanted to say the genetics is not everything. In any genetics course you do, they say that genetics pulls the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends what you do with your genes. You can upregulate and downregulate the genes by modifying what you do in your environment, like your nutrition, lifestyle, exercise. So everyone can be reasonably fit and healthy, but not everyone will get there the same way.
Yes.
So for example, how people tell you, my grandpa he used to smoke and drink and he lived until he was 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. But that grandpa definitely didn't have inclination to be inflamed.
Yep.
So he could do that, while someone else who
Like
doesn't
my
have,
grandpa.
like your grandpa, who has probably had inclination to be inflamed, he would get all sorts of diseases from smoking and drinking and not taking care of themselves. So everyone can be fit and healthy, but some people will get it easy and some people will have to work hard for it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Some people can get away with a lot of things
They say
and
good
some
genetics.
people can't. Yeah. So you can't just dwell on it, and like comparison is the worst. You can't compare yourself to your mates, or they're doing this and they're fit and I'm doing that and I'm not. No, you just have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
What do you have God given?
Yeah.
Be content with it and work with it, because if you compare yourself to someone else who's got completely different genetics, you'll never be happy.
No, for sure. And so was it the genetic testing that got you interested to become a nutritionist as well?
No, I was always interested in nutrition because I knew already from my dad that nutrition is really important, and it doesn't matter how much you exercise and train and whatever, if you don't address the nutrition as well, you will never get the best results. So, I grew up in these things that people now think that it's like the new revelation, like kefir, sauerkraut, raw cacao, doing saunas, ice baths, drinking kombucha. I did all that when I was like 3 years old,
Yep.
because that's all like traditional Eastern European stuff. So I grew up with that, and then when I studied sport and exercise science, exercise physiology and things like that, we had 1 year of nutrition subjects, but it wasn't very in-depth, and I just wanted to learn more. So I just went back to uni and did my nutrition degree.
Nice. So from your client perspective, what does a standard client look like for you? Are you dealing with people like me that have had metabolic issues and like have, insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and all those kind of things? Or are you more working with clients that are already pretty healthy but just want to be healthier?
All sorts of people. I've had clients from Olympic athletes to people that are obese and very sick. So very big range.
And would you tend to do more of the metabolically unhealthy or the healthy, or is it a pretty even split?
Because I'm in eastern suburbs, where lots of people are healthy, it's much more of the people that are healthy trying to be healthier.
And live longer and stuff like that.
And live
like
longer,
longevity.
and also a lot of people that are trying to be fit and healthy and want to do lots of different things, and they keep getting injured. Now running is a big trend and everyone wants to run, and then people go and just run some crazy running race off the bat, end up getting injured, and then they come to me to fix the injury, learn how to run properly, get the running program.
Shorten their stride. Increase their cadence, shorter gait.
Exactly, basic things.
It sounds like I've been there.
Yeah, basic things.
I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm going to run. And then I started running, thinking that longer stride length was better because you travel further. And then, calves, Achilles.
So I have a lot of those, a lot of running injuries. A lot of injuries from just like sitting all day, every day in the office, and then going to CrossFit gym trying to do deadlifts and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the entrepreneurial stuff, while we're talking about your professional stuff, what would be, like if you, and I'm sure you've been asked it a million times, but if you could do a daily blueprint for someone to be as good a human from a health longevity perspective as possible, what would a daily routine that you'd be happy as a therapist or a coach to someone look like? And I know it'll vary based on their genetics and that sort of thing.
Just the basic things for everyone. Well, the main thing, before I start saying any basic things for everyone, the main thing is consistency. That will take you to all those goals you just mentioned, because what you do sometimes doesn't really matter. What you do all the time, consistently, that's what matters. So, if you go to the gym once a month, doesn't really matter, but if you go twice a week, consistently for 10 years, you will have the results. And you don't have to go every day. You just need to be consistent. You have to be consistent with your nutrition, with your mindset practice as well, because, you know, brain is same as anything else in your body. It needs to be trained to work well. So, you know, even like a mindset practice. So keeping in mind the consistency, and the consistency doesn't mean to be perfect. I'm just saying, like, what do you do most of the time, yeah? I think one of the most important things is to don't have any, or not don't have any, but has as little as possible of ultra-processed foods. They are a very big cause of many non-communicable diseases like the diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, even like cognitive issues and things like that. So that's the first thing. I would focus mainly on organic, whole foods, minimizing ultra-processed foods. And second thing, also hydration, which is very simple, but people forget to drink. And even 2% of dehydration affects your nervous system, affects your cognitive performance. And even 2% of dehydration reduces your running performance by 10 to 20%.
Wowzers. And so can we, just on the hydration thing, I've heard a lot of people talk lately on like, you know, using magnesium, sodium, potassium sort of style drinks to help the water that you are drinking be more meaningful from an absorption standpoint. Like, do you need to have additives to your water, or can you just drink your 8 cups of water as per the...
As long as you're not marathon runner running in a heat or like highly performing in the heat, I don't think you need electrolytes. I think you can cover it from your diet. But magnesium is quite hard to cover from a diet because the fruits and vegetables these days have much less magnesium, much less of all vitamins and minerals. Yeah. Some literature says that there's only 50% of some vitamins and minerals in the fruits and veggies these days because of the soil being depleted. So magnesium is the one thing I would supplement with. Yep. Other than that, I don't think you need the other electrolytes unless it's very hot when you exercise or you're doing like a prolonged exercise, like long distance running, triathlons.
What are your thoughts on, you wake up in the morning?
Yeah.
And you've been in your longest period usually without having hydration. Yeah. And most of us get up in the morning, and what's the first thing we do?
Have a coffee.
Coffee.
That's fine.
Which is also probably not very hydrating.
No, it's fine as long as it doesn't upset your stomach, but you need to have the water first.
Yeah.
Like, so, have a glass of water while you make the coffee. That's what I do.
Yeah, right. Because I did hear someone say something about if you are going to take like an electrolyte or sodium magnesium drink, to do it in the morning when you first wake up. Yeah. Before you have your coffee, and that will kind of set you up for your day.
That's great. You still need to drink throughout the day though.
Yeah.
And also you need to like sip on the water throughout the day, because if you scull 1 liter of water in one go, it doesn't hydrate your cells, it just gets straight through you. The body doesn't have a capacity to uptake it.
And ends up as pee.
Yeah, it ends up as pee. So sipping. So what I like to have is like 2 liters bottle of water, and my goal is to finish 2 of them in a day on the days I exercise. And you can see how much you have left in a bottle. It's very visual. Yes. Because if you just drink glasses, you forget how many glasses you had. Like, all of us have better things to think about than counting your glasses. So have like maybe 1.5 liter of water and have a goal to drink 2 of them a day, and you see how much you've had, and just keep sipping.
Excellent advice.
So we've got cutting out ultra-processed foods, hydrating properly, sleeping properly, 7-8 hours a night. Sleep has got really big impact on our physical and mental health. And again, it's such a simple thing, but people don't really think about it.
Do you use a sleep tracker?
Yeah, I've got my Aura ring.
An Aura, yeah.
So it tells me about my recovery, the quality of sleep. Yeah. I like tracking it. Not all the time, like not when I'm on holidays, but like when I train and stuff, it's good to track how you're recovering from your training. I think it's pretty accurate. Yeah. The next thing, there's a few things with the outdoors. So spending times outdoors as much as possible. It's called the forest bathing, like everything has got a name now. And it has been prescribed as a official post-surgical therapy in Japan since 1980s, because when you're in nature, it's not just like the green color that's good for you and the fresh air, but also the particles that get released by the trees affect the human physiology, and they help to lower inflammation, lower your blood pressure, and improve healing.
So different to if you're walking in a city.
Different to when you walk in a city, like walking in the bushes, like where there's a lot of trees.
Tree huggers.
Yeah, so as much forest bathing as possible, and obviously that's not possible every day, but what people can do every day, and that's also got a different purpose, is get outside at sunset and sunrise, either or, ideally both if you can, without any sunglasses and sunscreen. And there's two reasons. The no sunnies and no sunscreen is because you need to get as much vitamin D as possible.
Through sun in your skin?
And at that time of the day, you're not likely to get burned. So do that. And then also sync in your circadian clock with the sun.
And that goes back to sleep health.
Yeah, and then you sleep better. So yeah, so being outside, sunrise, sunset.
Do you go down the grounding route? Are you that sort of, do you believe that doing that with your barefoot standing on grass has got any benefit?
Yeah, it's nice, and also like walking, like I live on the beach, and walking barefoot on the sand, I believe in the grounding, but even if you don't, walking barefoot on the sand is really good for your feet strength. Because if you always walk around in your shoes with the support, the muscles in your feet get really lazy and you get weak feet.
So you'll see on the video, if you look at the video, we are on the foreshore of Sydney Harbour on the eastern side, eastern suburbs.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the Harbour Bridge and the city. I can see Centre Point Tower. Yeah, it's stunning.
Okay, so back to the strategies.
Yes, your daily strategy.
Daily strategy. The easiest, cheapest and quickest anti-aging and health strategy that's scientifically proven is ice bath or cold shower. It has got so many benefits. I wrote an article about it on the Chief website. I can send it to you. But it's a lot, like it rejuvenates your whole body. It helps to improve the mitochondrial function, which is the powerhouse of every cell. And that gets weakened as you age. So improves mitochondrial function, increases your immune system, increases circulation, makes you more resilient. Like there's so many benefits, but it's especially beneficial for anti-aging. So if you live close to the ocean, just jump in the ocean in winter.
So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go out and buy an ice bath and buy bags of ice every morning.
Well, it's ideal, but I'm being realistic. So like, yeah, I can't have ice bath in my tiny one-bedroom apartment. So I go to somewhere to do sauna and ice bath 2 or 3 times a week. But on a weekly basis, I either jump in the ocean or have a really cold shower.
So a shower, like no hot on, just pure cold?
No, just pure cold.
And is there a better time in the day to do the cold therapy?
It's the best to do in the morning, because if you do it in the evening, it wakes you up.
Yes, so having a warm shower.
In the evening you're gonna have warm shower to fall asleep better. In the morning when you have the cold, it's kind of like it wakes you up. Adrenaline, you get clear mind. Like every time I try to get off caffeine, which I do periodically every year, I just have cold showers instead, and it keeps me awake. So that's another.
So it's not just a trendy like entrepreneur thing where are you even an entrepreneur if you don't ice bath?
I've been doing ice bath since the age of 6.
Wow.
We had to do sauna and ice bath compulsory at school, and I was just saying to my mom the other day, I still remember the first ice bath. I was so petrified. I remember that what the tiles look like and everything. It was so cold. I was like 6 years old. It was very full on, and they just pushed us in there. There wasn't like they were very hard on us. And so like there's a lot of different little strategies like that you can do, but I also think that very important thing is to have a good laugh every day. Even like laugh at yourself when you do something wrong, just laugh at it instead of stressing. Have good friends, good community, keep up good relationships. I think that's a very big contributing factor to your health. find some joy in life, you know, like have hobbies or something that makes you happy instead of just like working, watching TV and sleeping. You know, don't pick TV as your only joy.
Yeah, yep.
You know, things like that. Like it just all adds up. It's like, you know, in the end of the day, you can have perfect training, nutrition, you can sleep well and everything, but if you don't have good connections with people, you don't have any hobbies and stuff, it's a bit boring and miserable, you know?
Yes.
And then it's not mentally good.
And I guess that's the same with your friend group, like try to hang with people that make you feel good,
Yeah,
not make you feel
100%.
bad. I don't get that with TV, right? We talk about feeling good and not triggering anxiety or cortisol or all
Yeah.
those kind of things. But when you look at the trend of TV, and this is me talking as an executive producer,
Yeah.
like everyone, whether it's Married at First Sight, whether it's The Block, whether it's whatever the trending show is of the time, it's now the trend is to make drama by bringing the worst out in people. So,
Yeah.
so you know, producers are trying to start a cat fight,
Yeah.
or you know, just put people where I watch it and it makes me actually feel anxious. I just sit
Yeah.
there going, like, and I'm surprised that is what people gravitate towards to watch.
Yeah.
It's kind of like train wreck telly, and
Yeah,
that
it's sad.
for me, when we got asked to bring Search for Hurt back onto TV, that was a big part of it, that it's like we can create drama, but we do it by bringing the best out in people.
Yeah, 100%.
And having them push their human potential, and
Yep.
you know, and I think there should be more of that on telly, but unfortunately there's
Yeah,
not.
100%. Something to inspire people and to make them be better, not worse.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to say one more thing. One important thing that you should do on a daily basis that I just been thinking about it, seeing some of my recent clients, do your mobility work. Because if you don't, I have people, they're in their early 50s and they can't stand up from the floor by themselves because
wow.
they don't have mobility. And they actually can't do the training that they want to do because they don't have the mobility to even do squat. It's terrible.
And
And
so
sad.
is that just having a daily, you know, you're watching the news, not that anybody watches the news these days, but you're watching your favorite show, you got 30 minutes to an hour, watch it on the floor while you're doing a series of stretching, is that?
Yeah, but I don't think most people are gonna do it. It sounds like too daunting. I think just moving throughout the day, like stand up from your desk, do a few stretches, or have a little, like a 5-minute stretching routine when you wake up in the morning. Because as soon as you say to people that something is half an hour or 1 hour,
They shut
if
off.
they don't have the hour or 1 hour, they don't do it at all.
Chances are they're sitting there watching Netflix. Though.
Exactly, but if
It's
you
like
say,
while you're watching your favorite show,
but for
just have a
some
little
reason,
stretch.
if I say to my clients, this is your 5-minute routine every morning, only 5 minutes,
yeah,
they'll do it.
Yeah.
you know, or this is your office desk stretch.
Yep.
There's 10 stretches and you pick one stretch every hour and just do it for 1 minute.
Yeah, that
People
works.
will do it, and that actually adds up, and it's better than doing one session a week for 1 hour.
And that's one thing I did when I had neck surgery, was I made a point, because I had to do these specific stretches on my neck.
Yeah.
And so I would remember every time I went to make a coffee or a tea. So when I'm at the kettle waiting for the kettle to boil, I would do these stretches. And, and now I even find myself doing, like I'll be waiting to make a cup of tea or coffee, and I'll be doing those neck stretches.
See,
and I don't need to do them anymore.
Habit, but it's good, it keeps your neck mobile. Keep doing it, it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, so I think those are the main things that don't cost anything and you can incorporate in every single day.
Yep.
And they'll make a big difference if you are consistent though.
And for, like, have you got any sleep routines? Just the warm shower maybe?
For sleep routine, I think the most important thing is to get off screens and blue lights before sleep, because that really stimulates you when you look at screens before you go to sleep, and then it's very, very hard to fall asleep. And generally just don't do any stimulating activities, like don't read emails, don't read books. Like my friend was telling me the other day, so I read a lot of science and a lot of, like, you know, science books and things like that, but I read them during the day But she's like telling me she can't sleep, and then next minute she's telling me she's been reading a science book that I've given her in the evening. And I'm
So
like,
is
well,
it science as in science fiction?
No, like a
Or
science,
so-
like science literature,
Yeah,
like
right.
books about certain topics.
So you're learning at a time where
You're
you should be
learning at
shut
the
off.
time, and it's like, you know, because then you think about the topic and you can't sleep, or if you read your emails, or if you
Get
have
you coming down here, it'll be good.
or if you have like arguments with people and stuff, and then you can't sleep, you know, like you just keep your mind calm before you go to bed. So do calming activities, have some calming tea,
And leave the phone out of the bedroom.
leave the phone out of the bedroom. I always say only use bedroom for sex and sleep, nothing else. Maybe reading like a relaxing book at the most, but I wouldn't keep any TV in the room or anything stimulating. No, if you can't sleep, like the first thing, like people tell me they can't sleep, and then they next minute they tell me they're drinking coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you know? Like, same, it's back to the genetics. Genetically, you are either slow or fast metabolizer of caffeine, and you can't do anything about it. Unfortunately, only modify your caffeine intake.
Are you a slow or fast?
I am slow metabolizer, and
So you no coffee after
if
midday?
I have coffee after 11 o'clock, I can't sleep.
Oh, wow.
Like I have coffee in the morning, like I get up early at like 5, and I have 1 or 2 coffees, one at 5 and one at 7, and I'm done.
That's it.
And I like the taste of coffee, so if I want to have another one, I have decaf.
Okay.
But yeah, if I have coffee any later, like it's ridiculous, even like at midday, I can't sleep. So
And that's genetics again, yeah?
that's genetics, yeah. So you can't change that, but you can change the way you drink coffee. You can still have coffee, just have it very far away from your bedtime. Another thing is have your bedroom cool. If your bedroom is hot and your bed is hot and your pajama is hot, it's very hard to fall asleep. Don't eat 3 hours before you sleep if you have problems sleeping, because when you're digesting the food in a bed, the food has got the thermic effect. You create heat when you're digesting food. So if you have like big heavy steak 1 hour before you go to bed, by the time you're in a bed, the steak is digesting and it creates the heat, and then you can't sleep. Or you sleep, but the sleep is not a good quality.
Yes.
Same with alcohol. You fall asleep easily,
It's the worst.
but the sleep is not a good quality.
Yep.
Yeah, so just those.
And one thing actually I'll add to that, because I found it I was tracking my sleep at the time. I don't track my sleep all the time, because I find if I'm tracking my sleep and I get a bad score,
You get stressed.
well, and it just, I don't know, like not consciously, but I just realised that I'd be a bit crabby the next day.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I had a bad sleep score,
Yeah.
and it was like I almost gave myself an excuse to be a prick.
Yeah.
And, but what I found was I was monitoring my sleep at the time, and I was also monitoring through a CGM the effects of food on my blood sugar,
Yeah.
because I'm insulin resistant. And I worked out a way of reducing the spikes I was getting from eating,
Yeah.
and that was to go for a walk after I eat.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, and so, but what I found with that is I started walking after dinner,
Yeah.
but I wasn't doing it to improve my sleep. I was doing it to reduce my spike in insulin.
Yeah.
But my sleep scores went through the roof.
Yeah, that definitely improves your
So
sleep.
I don't know whether it just kick-started digestion a little
Yeah.
bit earlier, or...
It kickstarts the digestion earlier, puts you in a fasted state earlier. Also, if you walk at sunset, it syncs your circadian rhythm, makes you sleep better. So
yeah, it
there's
was
lots
just all kinds of good. And
Yeah.
I talk to people about, I've actually created a 5-week program for people with the rucks. We've got 3 sort of trainers. I'm one, but I'm a trainer that's going to be talking to metabolically unhealthy people like what I was, and you know, I guess I'm still metabolically unhealthy. And then we've got Chelsea, who's kind of more doing probably the similar thing to you, doing exercises for people who are already kind of fit,
Yeah.
but just want to improve their fitness
Yeah.
and improve longevity and health. And then we've got Commando Steve, who does because this pack with the handles on it, you can see it can be used as a weight,
Oh, yeah.
like as a training tool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So he does that backyard training sort of stuff. One thing we haven't touched on with the daily routine, are you a fan of any nutrients or supplementation?
Well, I try to cover all my supplements from healthy diet, all my nutrition from healthy diet. But as I said, some nutrients are very hard to cover in today's diet, such as the magnesium, and the next one is collagen.
Yep.
Because if you wanted to cover the amount of collagen you lose at my age, you would have to drink bucket loads of bone broth and eat animal cartilages and stuff, which no one does. So collagen, we lose about 1 to 2% of collagen every year from the age of 20. Like we produce less.
So that's not a perimenopausal
No. So
thing?
from the age of 20, plus minus, against individual depends on genetics, you produce about 1 to 2% less collagen every year.
Oh, wow.
And then after 40, no matter if you're man or woman, after 40, again, plus minus is not exactly, it's just a rough estimate.
Yep.
You also utilize more collagen, which is why after 40, around 40, people usually get more wrinkles, start having like joints, aches and pains, a bit more injuries and things like that. And then for women, it gets even worse in perimenopause and menopause. They utilize even more collagen, so they need more than men. So I'm 44 and I'm long distance runner. So I definitely need a lot of collagen, and it's what I do. Like I have collagen every single day. And
collagen's a protein, right?
Collagen is a protein. It's a main structural protein in ligaments, tendons, skin, gut lining, just all connective tissues. And
we tend to be under protein as a society.
Exactly, we're under protein as a society. Yeah? So not few years back, about 2015, there was a research that started emerging about collagen supplementation being beneficial for your skin, ligaments, tendons, osteoarthritis, bones as well. Collagen is, our bones are 50% collagen, which people don't usually know.
And that's why bone broth in animals is a good source of collagen.
So I had osteopenia in my mid-30s, which is reduced bone mineral density. And when I was at uni, I graduated when I was 28, they told us that once you have reduced bone mineral density after the age of 30, you can reverse it, but you can stop it. But then they found out that with the collagen supplementation, you can actually reverse it even if you're in menopause.
Oh, wow.
So I gave it a trial and started having collagen every single day, and I reversed the osteopenia. Like my bones are healthy, and
that's got nothing. That's not like additional training or anything that would help with
just the only thing I changed at the time was the collagen. Still did all the long distance running that people were telling me not to do. Ate the same diet, just added the collagen, and obviously did strength training as well, because that's what you need to do for your bones.
Yeah.
But the collagen was the biggest change I've done at the time, and I reversed the osteopenia, and I get proper, like a medical grade bone scan, not some kind of those publicly accessible. They're not very accurate. I go to like proper medical one, because once you have osteopenia, it's kind of serious. It can develop to osteoporosis. So
it'd almost be like an MRI.
Yeah. So I have to get like scan every 2 years, and I reversed the osteopenia.
And so you're actually adding bone density now?
Yes.
So not just stopping the...
Every year I'm adding bone density,
awesome.
Even though I'm 44.
And that's probably going to help prepare you for peri and menopause better, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so...
Jeez, man, how was that for a week, a daily blueprint?
Yeah.
And whether we put this in or not, I don't really care.
We can put
But creatine?
I don't have
What are your thoughts on that?
Look, there's a lot of good research behind creatine, but I personally don't think I need it, because I'm small size and I eat a lot of meat. So I think I get my creatine from the meat.
Yeah.
But if someone doesn't have enough animal protein and they do like CrossFit or weightlifting, like really heavy weights and power stuff, then creatine will help them to improve their performance.
Yep.
But I don't do any of that, and I eat a lot of meat, so I don't think,
So it's only if you diet.
It's not for that. That's why there's no such a thing as one size fits all with the diet or exercise. And when someone
Well, like you
tells
said,
you,
it's what you can stick to consistently, right?
and also what's your genetics, what's
Yeah.
your build, what do you do for work, what do you do for training. If someone tells you, I have the perfect diet that works for everyone, they either are completely dumb and have no idea, or they're just lying to you and trying to make money. But there's no diet like that, because everyone is different.
Yeah, I always thought, like, because I tried when I was doing the CGM experiment, I was trying different diets to see how it spiked my bloods, and I did the carnivore diet, and I think, like, of all the things that made me feel less inflamed and less puffy, and I think that diet was a good one.
Yeah.
But I was kind of opposite of what I was expecting. I was expecting that I'd be on the toilet every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But I went for like almost 8 or 9 days.
Yeah, it's because you know why it is?
No fiber.
No fiber. So because the meat, you absorb in your body more than 90% of meat that you ingest.
Yep.
And it all gets absorbed in the upper portion of the colon.
Yes.
So there's nothing going all the way
right.
down. It's like the fiber that makes you go to
Because I was
toilet.
shocked. I was like, you know, I just thought I'd be on the toilet all the time.
It's actually not bad. It's not bad for you. It's not like you're constipated. There's
No,
nothing
there's
there.
nothing there. Yeah.
It actually
So I probably gave it a rest.
It's actually giving your gut a rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So but after, I think I got to like the 10-day mark without having a poop and thought, oh, time to have a salad.
Yeah.
And then I had a big bowl of salad and it did its job. And
look, I don't think any restrictive diet is good in long run because mentally, socially as well.
Yeah.
And you know, as much as I love the carnivore diet and I think it does a lot of good to a lot of people, I would not want to stick to it for life.
No.
For myself, because I can't imagine eating steak and drinking bone broth when it's like 40 degrees heat. And I just want to have a piece of watermelon.
Yes,
you know, or coconut water or something. So so there's certain things in a diet that are beneficial for everyone, but people will have different variations. Like even some people respond better to carbs, some people can't have that many carbs, you know, just little things.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
So that's kind of the professional stuff.
Yep.
Let's have a chat about Chief.
Yep.
Because with my podcast, the people that I love talking health with anybody.
Yeah.
But the big thing for me is meeting up with other better for you entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So we can talk health and we can dig out on all that stuff, but then we can also talk business as well.
Yep.
So I think we have something in common.
Yeah.
With having a ex-biggest loser star as a business partner.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, so Commando Steve is in part of my business, both the Ruck and the show.
Yeah.
And then you had...
I got Libby.
Libby. So Libby Babbitt.
Yeah.
Libby Babbitt.
Yeah.
She was another coach on
Biggest Loser.
trainer on The Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
And so is she your co-partner in Chief?
Yeah, so we started Chief with Libby and her husband, so the three of us, and then we've got another partners on a little bit later. But the very beginning was Libby, Justin and I.
And what made you, so how did you meet Libby?
Okay, so this is a really funny story. So
Excellent. Let's go.
I quit my job as a clinical exercise physiologist because I was working for a company that wasn't very inspiring. I just felt like I was filling up a paperwork and I wasn't actually making any difference to people's lives, and I felt like an admin clerk. So I quit and started working at my friend's group training gym, which was very ahead of time that time. It was similar to Barry's bootcamp, but with functional training, and it was like 2010. There was no other group training gyms other than Les Mills, you know,
yeah, right.
Body Pump
and was that
all
Eastern
that.
Sydney?
It was in Bondi. So those two boys, they started this gym, and I was client there, and I kept whinging about my job, and they're like, well, why don't you quit and just come work in here? So I'm like, actually, yeah, I love being trainer. I'll quit my job and I'll come working here. So I started working there. And then it was like this really ahead of time thing. So all the trainers started coming there and athletes, and everyone is loving it. And so Libby was one of them. She started coming.
And this was before Biggest Loser?
Way before, 2010.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So she started coming there and like she was loving the gym. And one day she's saying, I remember it, she's saying to the boys, oh, one day I want to have a gym like this. She had a outdoors boot camp at the time. And the guys, she didn't know that, but they already wanted to sell the gym. So they're like, oh, you can have this one, do you wanna buy it? So anyway, long story short, she ended up buying the gym and I stayed. She ended up buying the gym and I stayed, so I always laugh at like she bought me as a piece of furniture, a piece of gym equipment.
You were on the balance sheet.
She bought me with the gym.
Nice.
So that's how we got to meet, and then the gym was renamed to Agoja, and I worked there for 8 years until Libby sold it, and it was actually, besides Chief, it was my most favorite workplace ever, and even now when I step into the gym, I just feel like I came home.
Oh, so you still drop in there from time to time?
I'm dropping there sometimes. I just love that place, and we had so much fun with Libby and the other trainers. Like, I created some lifelong friendships there, and it was a lot of fun. And I was actually sad when Libby sold it because it was just, it was like my home. I loved it. I loved everything about it. It was a good part of my life.
How, actually, we kind of skipped over. How did you end up going from studying in Brisbane to being in the eastern suburbs?
Okay, so I did my rounds. I moved, so after 1 year in Brisbane, I already decided that it's very boring. And there's no beach. The only thing that is the good weather, which is why I moved there, but I didn't really love it. And so when I finished uni, it was actually my last 6 months at uni. I had to do a practical placement, so I picked Gold Coast Hospital.
Oh, right.
And I did my practicum placement as a cardiac scientist in the Gold Coast Hospital.
This guy's behind us.
And I loved it. So I stayed on the Gold Coast for, it's a bit dark. I stayed in the Gold Coast for almost 3 years, but then I got bored. There was like no work opportunities. It was just like beachy, lazy, you know?
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, I need to move to Sydney. I also needed to work as a clinical exercise physiologist to get my skilled residency because I didn't want to get married and I didn't want to get sponsored, but I wanted to stay in Australia.
Right.
So in order to stay here, I had to get a really good job in my field, and so I had to move to Sydney. So I moved to Bondi.
And when did you move to? Was that like
2010?
Oh, right. So you fell into the gym job pretty quick after
Yes, no,
moving
actually, I'm lying because I fell into the gym job and med lib in 2011.
Oh, okay.
It was after.
It's still pretty quick.
Yeah, I was doing that job for like a year and a few months.
Yeah.
I needed to do.
And was that like Department of Health job or was that a private clinic?
Yeah, it was private, but it was subcontracting to the Job Services Australia.
Yeah.
And so I had to do 18 months to get my points for the skilled residency. So I did that. And then
out of there.
Out of there straight away.
And so you obviously came up with the idea for Chief while you guys were working in the gym together?
Yes. So I went to do the Kokoda Trail with a bunch of friends and clients from the gym. And I don't eat any like traditional protein bars. They give me a really sore stomach and I just hate it. And you know, when you go to Kokoda, you already have stomach issues guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I can't take any protein bars. I don't eat any ultra processed foods. Like, what am I gonna take to eat? Because you have to bring your own food. So I ended up bringing lots of biltong, like a dried meat.
Yep.
And nuts and dried berries, like separately. And then I had this idea to mix it as a trail mix, and it was delicious.
So you had biltong nuts and dried fruit.
berries.
Oh, okay.
And it was delicious, and I was eating it the whole time, and everyone first was saying, oh, it looks disgusting, and then everyone wanted it, but I didn't have enough. I'm like, okay, you eat your shitty protein bars, leave me alone. So it was delicious, but in the heat, and it was getting like really soggy. So when I came back, and I still remember the conversation with Libby and Justin, because they knew how I'm like so picky with food. Not picky, I like every food, but just fresh food, right?
Yes.
And they're like, what did you eat? So I was telling them, and they're like, yeah, that sounds disgusting. So anyway, I made the trail mix for Libby and brought it to the gym, and she's like, oh, it's actually nice. And I'm like, yeah, but it was getting really soggy. It would be good if it was actually in a bar.
Yep.
So we Googled if there's any meat bar in Australia, but there was no meat bar in Australia. There was one in the United States. And funnily enough, I was going to the United States a few months after Kokoda because you couldn't order, they wouldn't deliver the bar to Australia.
Fair enough.
So you had to, like, couldn't deliver it via post. So I bought the bar in the US and ate it, and it was disgusting. It was slimy. It was nothing like what I envisioned. So I came back, brought it for Libby and Justin, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I envisioned. This is like dog food. And then Justin is like, well, maybe we can try to make our own. And that's how it happened.
Ah, and so did it start in someone's kitchen?
Oh, no, not with the meat. It's very, you can have like bacteria and stuff. So Justin found a really good food scientist who does develop different products. And we approached him about developing this for us and gave him the idea of recipe.
And then he did the food chemist stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And did it take a while to get something you were very happy with, or was it one of those ones where you just...
It took 6 months, because the problem is that we didn't want to use any artificial additives.
Which is hard in a bar,
No
I'm assuming.
preservatives.
Yep.
No fillers, no thickeners, no emulsifiers. So it's hard to bind those things together, and also nuts, fruits and meat has got different moisture. So it kept like getting molded, and it was hard, like it was difficult. It's very, like, that's why no one makes meat bars in Australia, because
if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
I personally know people, they already have their other nutrition brands, and they tried to make meat bar and they just couldn't. It's very
So you've
difficult.
almost got your own IP just by the difficulty.
We do, and it tastes completely different than that American meat bar. Like, that American bar is very successful business, but that's the old one. There's like a whole heap of new, like, carnivore bars on the American market, and I don't know what they are like. I haven't tried, but back then there was only one brand, and I didn't like that brand.
So how did you come up with the name Chief?
You know what? It was definitely not me, because I am, like, obviously English is not my first language, and also I'm not very creative with names, full stop. I think it was Justin, Libby, and Libby's sister who is very creative, and she did our first design, logo, packaging.
And she came up with the name?
Yeah, so it's like a family affair. Actually, you know what? I've forgotten who exactly came up first with the name. I know it wasn't me, but it was one of those three, Justin, Libby, or Justin's sister.
Ah.
Yeah.
And so when did you finally get it to market?
We got it to market. I think we have to go that way around. We got it to the market 6 months after we hired that food scientist guy.
Yep.
And we had one beef bar and one lamb bar. And we went to the CrossFit Games with it. And I think we had like 800 or 1,000 bars, something like that. And little plastic stand.
Was this at the CrossFit Games in America?
Wollongong, no, the Wollongong, the regional ones in Wollongong.
Yeah.
And we sold all the bars in one weekend at the CrossFit Games.
Wow.
So CrossFit was very good crowd to us at the beginning.
Especially that would have been in the height of paleo and all that stuff. And so that was, so you go and you do the, it's like the Down Under Championship, but it was the regionals back then.
Yeah, it was regionals back then. Yeah, it was big. And then at the regionals, there was a guy that we knew from the past, from our different projects when Libby and I were a little bit like influencers and stuff. And he has a gun. He has like his whole life, he's my age, his whole life in the food industry, developed some amazing supplements, and he had like his own healthy food distribution company at the time. And he really loved our product, took us on board, even though we were like no one. Took us with him to all these expos, which we couldn't even afford to pay like $5,000 for a stand. So he like led us to be on his stand, and Then he really loved our product and became our business partner, and now
he's the other partner now.
He's our CEO. Yeah, his name is Brog, and yeah, he's amazing.
And is he still in the food distribution business, or did he get out of that?
No. He's just full on with chief now, CEO. I think he's busy enough with that.
Yeah. And so day to day, are you still fairly involved with chief?
Yeah, we are all day to day. We have all different roles. Libby is not day to day because she's got other business and 2 little kids. So she's busy, but like she helps in a different ways, like to promote the business and stuff. But in the daily operations, we have our staff, and then it's the Brooke, Justin and I both work there. Justin and Brooke admittedly work more hours than me because I still work as an exercise physiologist, trainer, nutritionist. So I see my clients 4 days a week in the morning, from like 6 until 10 or 11. And then I go to the office or work from home. But I'm at the office probably 3 days a week at least.
And where's the office?
It's in Alexandria.
Okay.
Yeah, so my clients are in Moore Park, there's a little studio that I work at inside the Disney Studios. So I kind of drive from Bondi to Moore Park and then just continue to Alexandria.
Handy.
Yeah.
Handy. And so what in the business is there like an area of expertise for you?
So I'm a nutritionist, so I write a lot of, I pretty much write most of our blog on the website, like all the content. I am now recording the podcast, which is podcast with I'm interviewing, it's not me talking, but I'm picking every episode is different expert in health, fitness, anything health related, like different doctors and stuff, and I'm interviewing them on interesting topics. That way. So I've recorded 6 episodes so far. I'm also, the guys call it the community manager. So I'm managing our ambassadors, our events.
That's why I saw you at Torian?
Yeah, that's why I saw at Torian, City to Serve, all the events, that's my responsibility. I have the other guys come and help me, but it's my gig.
Yes.
So a lot of different things.
How many staff?
How many of us? It's in the office, and day to day, it's 8 of us. But then there's some people working from remote. There's 5 people working from remote. So it's 13 of us. And then we have warehouse, and there's a guy working in a warehouse. So yeah.
And do you produce, or do you use?
No, we subcontract. So we have a few different manufacturers.
Okay.
Because our products are so different, we couldn't really do it make it in one facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you've got the meat, then you've got the collagen.
We've got the meat, and then we've got the collagen, and the collagen bars are made from nuts, so they couldn't even be made in the same facility as the meat, because the meat products are nut-free. Allergies and things like that, so yeah.
Wow.
We've got few different facilities.
And so currently you guys do you sell D2C? People can jump onto chief.com.au, Chief Nutrition. What's the website?
wearechief.com.
Oh, cool.
That's probably the best way to buy, because you can buy boxes, which is always cheaper. You can get sample packs to try all different flavors. We do subscription,
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I when we talk about genetics and food allergies and stuff, I very much have to live on a FODMAP style diet. Onion and garlic just messes me up. Blocks my sinuses, it's just horrible. So I was very pleasantly surprised I like jerkies and I like biltong. But all of them have just got onion powders and garlic. And when I came across you guys, your traditional and your chili. In the jerky. Doesn't have onion or garlic in it.
And the carnivore biltong now has got only meat and salt.
Oh wow.
And that's actually my favorite, it's so flavorsome, it's beautiful.
That's what you want, it's like coffee.
Yeah, it's just meat and salt, I love it the best. The carnivore range is the bomb for me personally. I can skip on all the herbs.
As a brand, Chief going really well? Are you hitting, are you where you expected to be?
Yeah, we're hitting all our goals, finally. It took so long. If you think that we started in 2015, and I can say that we just started to do well and rise up since COVID probably.
Oh, okay. So you had 5 or 6 years of hard slog. And so were you guys, did you bootstrap or did you, like, was it all just founders funds that got everything?
Yeah, it was founders funds, and that's why it was going not very far.
Yeah.
Then we had first 2 investors, which one of them was my client's husband.
Oh, nice.
Because when you don't have enough sales, it's very hard to attract investors.
Yes.
And then another investor was someone that the guys met through working in our office. And then they were obviously just financial investors. Yeah, financial, but one of them is actually like really good advisor as well.
And he's still involved?
He's still involved.
Yeah, cool.
And then last year we did crowdfunding and raised like a whole bunch of money through crowdfunding.
How did you find that?
Yeah, it was good. Like it's a company called Equitize.
Yes.
And they pretty much take care of everything.
I think Fractal did one with them.
Yeah, I must admit that I am not a financially savvy person, and I was not very involved in the whole process.
Yeah.
It was mainly Justin, because he's got a lot of experience from his previous businesses, and he's got a financial education, which I don't. It's my own fault. So I can't tell you in detail, but I know it was a really good experience, and then we raised quite a lot of money.
I am so, like, do you mind if I ask, because it's kind of public domain, I guess.
Yeah.
So how much did you raise through crowdfunding?
900,000.
Wowzers. Because, man, as a entrepreneur, like, I think there's a very big difference between an entrepreneur and a business person.
Yeah.
And it's probably what you just touched on. A business person is good at, chasing finance and doing the numbers and, projections and all that. But as an entrepreneur, I just like to come up with ideas, like get into the market. And I think there's no better way of a justification of your idea than crowdfunding.
Yeah, 100%.
But I also then go, but if you raise that much money, obviously you've got thousands of partners now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the bit that scares me. I'm like,
you do, but as long as you have still majority of the company and you have the main word, it is like, but you can own whole of your company and go to nowhere, as we did before. Again, we were just very little because we didn't have the funds to go big,
Yes, yeah.
Or you can own half of something that is really big.
Yes.
And it's fun, how much more fun it is now that it's going well, and we could hire people and we have amazing team, and it's like so much more fun than just being like 2 or 3 of us,
Yeah.
It's great.
And that's where most of the investment was into building the team, was into growth.
Yeah, building team, advertising, product development.
What about stock holding for you guys? Is that ever, like me with the Rucks?
Yeah.
If I've got an opportunity right now to launch into the US, but I'm going to need about $1 million worth of stock to do it.
And we have a lot of money tied up in stock.
Yeah.
Like this is a historical day today. You got me on a historical day. We today sent from the botany our first shipment to the United States.
Oh, wow.
And we're launching in the US. So yes, we do have a lot of money tied up in stock.
Yeah, and so is that you going through Amazon direct, or have you got a partner, like a distro partner over there that you're working with?
We've got a warehouse in LA, and we just first starting.
Oh, like 3PL sort of thing?
Yeah, we're just starting online, doing it just ourselves.
Yeah, right. And so what's the marketing strategy for that look like? Is that something you work with a US agency on to do ads and get you localized content, or do you just try to use your Aussie content to sell to Americans?
Yeah, we need to make a localized content. We're working with the same agency that we have here in Australia, because they're international.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so step by step, we're trying to build a strong online brand first, and then see where it takes us.
And what's the ultimate goal with Chief? I guess a good way to wrap it up is, like, where do you see Chief in, say, 5 years?
Well, I want to see Chief everywhere. So we didn't actually get to the point why we're doing this. So as I said at the start, when you were asking me about the tips for, that people should do every day to be healthy, and I said, don't eat ultra-processed foods. We made all these snacks and whole food supplements to replace the ultra-processed foods, because Western culture, people in Western culture are used to snacking and they're used to convenience food. And it's not realistic to say now we're gonna teach everyone and make everyone to cook from the scratch.
Yes.
And eat all veggies and meat organic and make it themselves. Like, it's gonna happen. People wanna snack, people wanna easy
And
food.
normally, like, the snacks is where the ultra-processed foods
100%.
really come
The
into
snacks
it, right?
are the ultra-processed foods. They're really bad for you. They cause all this insulin resistance, obesity, metabolic syndrome. Most of non-communicable diseases.
I've been everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
most of non-communicable diseases are because of bad diet and
Yes.
inactivity.
Yep.
So, so we thought we'd do something, you know, that's still convenient. People can take it everywhere. They can grab it in a store, but it's as close as possible to real food. So it's made from real food. It's organic. Doesn't contain thickeners, emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, synthetic preservatives, and you know, all those things. So this is why we're doing it. So what I would like to see is our products being, you know, just like a part of people's diet when they travel or when they are driving in a car, they can't have proper food, or they're on a run. Like, even though I am one of the founders of Chief, I will not lie, and I'm not gonna say that it's better to eat Chief products all day, every day instead of proper meal. Of course, it's always better
it's a snack
to
replacement.
have proper meal, but it's a snack replacement or meal replacement when you don't have the opportunity. Like when you do the Kokoda Trail, when you go rucking, when you go camping, you know, when you're running out of time. Like I do with the meat bars, for example, when I'm really time poor and lazy to cook, I just chop it up and put it in a salad.
Oh.
Or I use the biltong and scramble it into eggs instead of bacon.
That's your protein.
Or just throw it in a
right.
soup, you can buy pumpkin soup or some kind of soup anywhere and just chuck the biltong in it for extra protein. You know, things like that. So I crumble the collagen bar into yogurt for extra protein and extra crumble. You know, I just use the bars into add it into my proper meals when I don't have time to cook. So that's what I would like people doing, and just, you know. And me personally, I always wanted Chief to be like the healthy version of Red Bull, when we have our own amazing events and have athletes, they do amazing things, and I'll be like the old lady traveling around with them and, you know,
Careful
watching
what you
it. Yeah, you know, I don't have kids and I'm never gonna have kids, so I want my entertainment. Like I want Chief to be my entertainment.
Yeah, right. And is that a choice? You like with kids, you just...
Yeah, no, I never wanted to have kids, no.
Yeah, nice.
I just always wanted to have the freedom to do whatever I want to do. I think my mom said when I was like 13, I said I was never going to get married and never have kids.
Yeah, right.
And at some stages in my life, I was thinking maybe I regret it one day, you know, and this and that, but so far no regrets.
You didn't freeze a cheeky embryo
no,
just in case?
Never, no.
Ah.
I just really felt strongly that look, I love my friends' kids and I love children. It's not like I don't love them, but it's you know, when I do 100K running race and people say, oh my God, this is so amazing. It looked amazing, looks beautiful there, that's epic, but I never want to do it. That's how I feel about kids.
Right. That's
it's
awesome.
beautiful. I see my friends' families. It's great. I like to play with their kids, but no thanks. Not for me. Because I really love to have my own freedom to do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. Go away.
And is that
when
the same with partners' marriage? Do you?
Look, I could be with someone, but it would need to be someone who has got similar attitude like me. Like I can't do the traditional thing, and it's very hard to find. Yeah. But you know, I'm if someone really wanted to get married and it meant a lot to them, I'd do it for them. But I never dreamed about walking around in a white dress. And
you dreamt about being a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I dreamt about being a bodybuilder.
In the sparkly cozies.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not against it, but it's just not my life goal. But of course, it's nice to have someone, you know, that you can share things with. But at the moment, I'm so busy and I've got so many friends as well. It's kind of I'm fine.
Your bucket's full.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how society just kind of, you know, it's almost expected.
Yeah, they do. And I had really good conversation. I had really good conversation with my mom about it when I was 30, because all my friends were getting married and they're having kids at the time, and they're all saying, "Oh, you'll end up lonely if you don't have family and kids and this and that." So I was asking my mom, "What do you think?" And my mom is like, "Well, if I had you, just so that I don't end up lonely, where would that take me when I'm in the Czech Republic and you're on the other side of the globe?"
And so they're still in Czech Republic?
Yeah, they're still in Czech Republic.
Do you go and see them often?
Yeah, I do as much as I can. I just was there last month. Yeah, and I speak to my mom every day, like Monday to Friday when I drive to work. I call her every single day because it's evening at home and it's morning here. So yeah.
Cool.
So.
And has it changed much over there from when you grew up?
Yeah, it's changed a lot because I grew up in communism. So it's very different.
So it's changed a lot too.
It's changed a lot for better. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's changed heaps. Like actually, like my parents live in this like really small, it's like a village in the middle of nowhere, but there's a town close to it, which is used to be always like really shitty town, like the worst area of Czech Republic. And I went to a gym there with my sister last month, and it was actually one of the best gyms I've ever been to.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. I'm like, yeah, here you go, Czech Republic,
changed.
getting better. And Prague is amazing. Like Prague has always, even in communism, Prague has always been amazing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, Prague is like Bondi.
Yeah.
It's not what the rest of the country is.
Yeah. And you get this false sense of,
it's like, oh yeah, amazing. Everyone is looking good. Everything is pretty. Everything is amazing. But
it's like all these houses where you go, oh,
exactly.
Is this what Australians live
Yeah,
like?
exactly.
And so we went back to why you started Chief. We didn't go to where you want Chief to be in 5. Is that the Red Bull?
Yeah, Red Bull
cool.
type of thing.
And then I was going to dive into, so your activity of choice is running?
Yes.
And
for now, when I retire, like when I get older and I don't have to work as much anymore, I still want to run as much as I can, but I want to go back to ballroom dancing. And I want to go and compete in ballroom dancing in like a master class. There's like a master class when they're like all the oldies still competing, and you should see all these ladies, they're in their 60s in their little tassel skirts dancing samba. Like it's so good for older people, like socially, but also mobility, agility, fitness, like everything is much better than running, because running for an old person, it just makes you tighter and tighter. Even like I will have to train so much to get back to my previous flexibility, because all the years of running just made me so like tight in my hemis, you know. It's not ideal when you're really old to run.
And so what are your classes really old? Like when will you look to move over to ballroom dancing and finally and probably find your husband while you're dancing?
It all depends on work and Chief. Like ballroom dancing is very expensive and time demanding. So I need the money and time. So let's see. Yeah.
And then
I would like to say in the next 5 years, but who knows?
Yeah, right.
I'm already starting to suss it out. There's the Australasian Ballroom Dancing Championships in the ICC in Sydney in October. So I'm gonna go and have a look what's out there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so with running then, I was going to hit you up for what your toughest running event that you've done to date.
Oh my God, I would like to say it was the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, but funnily enough, it was the Shot Over Moonlight Marathon in New Zealand. Last February. It was so hard.
And what was that ultra, like a 100K?
It was 45, but it was harder than any other race I've done. I did it with a friend who is amazing long distance runner. She's a gun, and she felt the same, like we never want to do it again. It was amazing event. It was like helicopter drop to the start line, like amazing accommodation. It looks beautiful, like on every level. It was the best event I've ever done, because it was so well organized and so beautiful, and it just felt like a rock star helicoptering around. But the course was so hard. I fell. I stopped counting it after I fell 20 times. I kept falling because every time I tried to run fast, I just kept falling. You run.
Was it because of slippery?
Yeah, you run on the ridges of the mountains, which is like rock and slippery. It's like this.
Yeah.
Or you run in the sheep trails, and they're really deep and they're very narrow, so you run like this,
so you kind of
like on a tight rope, and I kept falling there, and then it was like I ran through some hole that was covered in the grass, and I fell up to my waist to a hole. Then I slipped off the rock and hung on the tree branch on the side of a mountain. Like I fell so many times. I didn't hurt myself, surprisingly, and also a lot of the running was like on angle like this.
So you felt like you needed hip adjustment?
Yeah,
when you got back.
was like, it was not fun.
So how long did it take you to do that?
Oh my God, I don't even know. It took us all day. It literally took us all day, because after like half of like when I started falling, I started running at my normal pace,
Which is what?
Which is like, it was like on trail, like 5 minutes a K.
Yep.
But then because I kept falling, I started to get really scared. And then I kept like walking on the hard sections, you know, like I just didn't have the confidence anymore.
It ended up being like a hike run.
Yeah, it was like a hike run, yeah.
There you go. And so you've done UTMB?
Yeah, I did the shorter part of that's a part of the race in Mont Blanc, but I did the OCC, which is 56K.
Oh, okay. Is that the longest event you've done?
No, I done 100K.
Okay.
180, and then lots of different 50 and marathons and stuff.
Have you got a event locked in at the moment?
No, I actually don't, because I just don't have, with work at the moment, I don't have time to put a good training in. And I just feel like I just don't want to keep doing races when I'm not prepared and keep getting injured and things like that. So this year I'm not going to do any races anymore, but I'm doing like a fun stuff. So I'm doing the Bondi to Manly Ultra in a team.
Oh yeah, someone asked me about that today.
Yeah, I'm doing it with like my client she started off as my client, now she's a med runner and now she's my friend. So we're doing it with her and another 2 people. We're doing it as like a, you know, everyone runs 20 or so K.
Oh, so it's a relay.
It's a relay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna run the first bit and then I'm gonna Uber back home, jump in the car,
Is
and
that
just
like
keep following
is that 60K?
everyone. It's 80K. So
80K,
everyone
okay.
runs like, it's not exactly everyone 20. Some people run 17, some run 23.
Yeah, so you do the Bondi to Sydney route and then down to Sydney to Manly.
And then I'm gonna follow them with my chief supplies and support. And so I'm doing that, and then I'm doing the coast to Cozy, supporting a friend, like pacing him.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like a very long race and you want
so
someone to run with you. So I'm just like doing pacing, like just taking turns with a few other friends.
Yep.
And I'm not sure now because he just did UTMB and he got injured quite badly.
That's not Bobby D, is it?
Yeah, it's Bobby.
Oh, it's Bobby
So
D.
I don't want to say anything, but I actually don't know if he's gonna do the coast to Cozy after this. I don't know. I hope he does, but anyway, if he doesn't,
He's pretty banged up, right?
It is, yeah. Did you see the pictures of his feet?
I was talking to him when he was over there.
Yeah.
And then I saw, it was up there, wasn't it?
We can go this way.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite beach. It's so nice here, and they've been like doing this since COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like it used to be like those big steps and like a beach where you can swim. I used to always kayak from Rose Bay to here.
So what's this park called?
Nelson Park.
Oh, right.
So I used to kayak here from Rose Bay and stop and like swim. It's so nice. Like running through here now, they just made
they just ran out of money or something?
I don't know.
Because it's National Park, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so Bobby, so if he does coast to Cozy, I will support him.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I will try to get someone's ticket for Cozy UTA because all of my friends are going. I just want to go and do the 30, but because they're just a week apart, if I wanted to do Bobby and UTA as well, I'd have to stay in the mountains for 2 weeks. It's a bit excessive at that time of the year. At work, it's like a bit busy.
Yeah.
So if Bobby runs, I'll run with him. If he doesn't, I just try to get the 30K ticket for UTA and do it for fun.
And do you think now your range with Chief is kind of where it's going to sit now?
I think we always want to be, innovative and bring to people what they need. Yeah. What they're lacking or missing, So I think we have a new products coming out.
All right, there's another Rucking Good episode in the books. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, feel free to share it around and throw us a like and subscribe if you so wish to. If you would like to see or be a guest on Rucking Good, please drop me an email to team@rucksack.com. And until then, we'll catch you on another episode.